Hello YouTube, this is the Dbtgamer Show, episode 160. And today I'm going to review Final Fantasy IV The After Years on the WiiWare. So, let's get started. Okay, that's my Nintendo Wii setup, YouTube. Now let's start this review. Now, Final Fantasy IV The After Years is a very good game. It's one of the best RPGs I've ever played on the WiiWare. Very few Final Fantasy games get a sequel. The only other one I can think of is Final Fantasy X Part 2. So this is quite a rare thing when Square Enix releases a sequel to a previous Final Fantasy game. Anyway, let's talk about Final Fantasy IV The After Years. The story for the game, it is pretty good. Although it's very basic. The basic gist of it is, this game takes place a few years after Final Fantasy IV, and this weird character called the Mysterious Girl comes to the Final Fantasy world and starts causing trouble all around the world by stealing the crystals that keep the world in balance. And throughout the adventure, she possesses certain characters and makes them do certain things without them knowing about it. Example, Kane, the Dragoon, gets possessed several times in the main story, and he does things against his own will, and even Cecil gets possessed. So, the Mysterious Girl, she's quite a good bad guy, and she causes a lot of trouble throughout the main story. So the basic story of the game is, you've got to stop the Mysterious Girl from possessing your friends and nicking off with the crystals and keeping the Final Fantasy world in balance. Graphics of the game, well, the graphics for this game are very, very good. Now, if you haven't noticed, this game is sprite based, and I have to say the graphics, in my opinion, they're absolutely perfect. I mean, I like pre-rendered 3D and all this 3D stuff we have these days, but sometimes it's nice just to see sprite graphics in the modern day. It gives the game a very retro sort of feel, and the graphics look really, really nice, and they fit the game's character really well. Controls for the game. The controls for the game are really, really good. You can either control this game with the Wii remote on its side or the classic controller. I prefer to use the classic controller because it just feels better for me. A button talks to people, B button cancels stuff, X brings up your menu. If you press Y, you can cycle through your characters and change your on-screen sprite. L and I don't do that much. The Z buttons don't do that much. Start does pause the game. Left stick moves your character around, or the D-pad. I prefer to use the D-pad because you can only go in 4 directions, and the control stick is basically pointless because the diagonals don't work. The right stick does nothing, and the home button takes you back to the Wii menu. So the controls for the game are very, very good. The music for the game is also very good. There's a wide variety of nice tracks in this game. I really liked a lot of the music. Most of it has been brought back from the original Final Fantasy IV. They've also added a few new tracks. Gameplay for the game. The gameplay for the game is an RPG. It's a very, very long RPG, and it's definitely worth every penny I paid for it. When I bought this game off the WiiWare Virtual Console thing, it cost me the best part of 35 quid. It's rather an expensive WiiWare game, but it's definitely well worth buying. Although it is quite expensive. It's also a very, very long game. Good start to this game. Well, good start to this game. The story is very good, although it's very, very simple. Gameplay of this game, very, very good. Cutscenes. Most of these cutscenes are text-based, and there's no voice acting. But if you read the text, you should enjoy this game storyline quite a lot if you wish you enjoy the storyline. Another thing that's really good about the game is the how to play section in the main menu. I'll just finish off his battle and I'll get onto that. The how to play section was rather useful. It's quite a good on-board manual for the game itself. Give the game a moment to load. You can go to this place at any time you load up the game. You can check out to do battles and loads of stuff. It's quite a good tutorial if you've never played a Final Fantasy game before. And the other thing that's really useful about this game is obviously the operator's guide. If you want more detailed instructions, you will have to go onto the Wii Shop channel to view more stuff. Now I'm going to talk about the downloadable content for the game. There is a lot of downloadable content for this game. This game is basically based on downloadable content. There's quite a lot of stories throughout the game. The first story, you play as Cecil's son. I think his name is pronounced Cleodor, but I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but that's how I always pronounce it. And the first story is basically him deciding what job he wants to be when he grows up. And he goes on quests to become a paladin, I think. The second story is Rydia's Tale. This was quite a good story, although it was pretty short. Yang's Tale is one of my favourite ones, because you get to play as Yang, who's one of my favourite characters from the original Final Fantasy IV because of his kick ability. You also get to play as Yang's daughter, who, she's a really good character and she has this focus ability which lets her do more damage to the enemy when she launches their attacks. Depending on which story you play, certain events happen and certain characters may leave your party and certain characters may come back later. Also, if you complete a story and you've got the last story called The Crystals, you can transfer data from other stories to the final story, which can be really helpful. Palom's Tale, it's a pretty good story. It's basically Palom teaching a young white mage some magic. It's a pretty good story. Edge's Tale is definitely one of my favourite ones because you get to control 5 different ninjas and you get to do 5 different dungeons, and it's quite a long downloadable content pack, and it's definitely well worth the points. Palom's Tale's another really good one. Edward's Tale, I wasn't very impressed because I never really liked playing as Edward when I played actual Final Fantasy IV, and in this game Edward wasn't really that good either because he's a pretty weak character and I never really liked him. Anyway, you two, I've run out of time. In the next part I will talk more about this game. See you later.